Good morning everybody. My name is Roberto Lollini. Good morning also on behalf of the editorial board of Build Up Portal. Yeah, for the ones who are attending a Build Up webinar for the first time, welcome. For our returning audience, thank you for innovating your interest in Build Up webinar. It is let me say, a pleasure to host today's webinar with the title ExcEED Project Energy Efficient Building Platform, organized by URAC Research as coordinator of ExcEED project. ExcEED is a project financed in the framework of H 2020 and is in the last part of its time frame. I would like to invite all the attendees to contribute and participate in this webinar. You can ask questions by typing in the box on the right side of the screen. They will be answered at the end after the whole presentations. I would like to remember that you can also contribute to the Build Up portal. Build Up is a collaborative platform in the field of energy efficiency in buildings. It is continuously updated and it represents one of the key sources of information on the topic of energy efficiency. You can register and become a member of the community, and you can also upload news, events, present case studies, tools, results from projects, and so on and so forth. I would like to invite you all to navigate the portal and to understand what the portal is. So, starting with the webinar, now I'm going myself to introduce ExcEED project as project coordinator, and after me there will be the presentation of colleague Tiago Nuich presenting let me say the platform and the dashboard, the presentation of Daniele Antonucci on the tools connected with the portal, and then Mihai Bodea presenting a case study of the first, let me say, user of the platform as a project partner. And then there will be some room for question by your side. So, starting with the presentation, I was able to do that. Yeah, okay, it works. So this is a short introduction to the project and to the platform. Yeah, the project main goal is to let me say better understand building behavior. So the first question we started from was what do we know from building, and what we can learn from data collected from the building through a monitoring system. So starting from that question, yeah, it's quite difficult to going on. Okay, sorry. Sorry. So the idea was to create a self-sustainable and dynamic platform to collect data, first of all, and then post-process, elaborate this data and find the best way to publish the measured data coming from building, let me say, very advanced from energy efficiency point of view, so beyond state of the art. But I mean, the same platform could be used also for other kind of buildings, so other renovated buildings or let me say normal, if I can say, if I can use this word, building. So from data we would like to move to information. So we developed, we defined some tools, and starting from KPIs we identify, so key performance indicators we identify, representing from our point of view in the best way the building performances and behavior. So we moved from data to information related to this data, and then to publish this information in a way that this information can become knowledge for different kind of users, facility managers, as well as owners of the building, or final users, or designers, or policy makers that can use this data coming from the building, transform it in information and then in knowledge to better define or adjust or tune the existing policy. The consortium of the project was quite, let me say, small. We are 5 partners, EURAC as coordinator, and in charge of the development of the key performance indicators and the GeoCluster tool, as well as, let me say, something not directly connected to the platform, but in a way included in the platform itself, is the survey collecting data of the perception of quality of the indoor environmental quality coming from the users of the buildings. And then Batix, as a main developer of the database and the associated tools to the database, BPIE as communication manager of the project, and let me say with specific expertise on European building stock and energy efficiency policies. 3E for the development of KPIs for renewable energy production, and let me say sort of main beta tester of the platform, demonstrating practical benefits. It's something that is running at the moment. Then Oval, and we took the Italian headquarter of this international company as I said, first demo case of the project, and so first user in terms of let me say, registered member to upload data and to use the data elaborated by the platform. So in a nutshell, ExcEED platform is aimed at supporting the building's energy management, and this means also not only for the facility manager, but also in the design stage by the designers, as well as in a broader vision for the policy maker. So if you wanna, let me say, learn more about energy performance of your building, of your building stock, the ExcEED platform could be a way to elaborate data coming from your monitoring system. The platform is free, and all the related tools are for free because they are developed within the ExcEED project. And we will see in the other presentations the platform itself and the related tools. We are launching the platform today, so it is possible to register on the ExcEED website. The registration is for requesting username and password to connect to the platform, and then to use the platform, and then there is a procedure in order to have all the accreditation contacts to actually use the platform. And it is very to me interesting also the feature of the platform in terms of benchmarking. So you can use the platform to manage your own building or building stock, but you can also compare your building with other buildings already uploaded in the platform itself. Of course, with you can compare in an anonymous way. So in our opinion, using the platform is also a way to take part in the energy transition, in a way for the decarbonization of European building stock. So that's it by my side. I would let the floor to Tiago to present the database and the dashboard.
So hello everyone, my name is Tiago. I'm going to be presenting you the tool that we've developed together with ERAC and the other partners to allow you to upload data and have a look with the KPIs that we defined and implemented and get more insights from the building. And I'm gonna pass to Daniele so he can show you the benchmark between buildings within an area or within the same characteristics that yours. So let me move to the next slide. So once you have access, once you get the username and password, you'll be able to access the dashboard through this URL. Then you can log in there. So once you're in the dashboard, you'll be able to upload the data using the data tab on the top left. And this is the easiest way to upload data because most people have a CSV file with their sample data. And with this tool, you'll be able to upload quickly the data and see it in the dashboard and have some insights with the KPIs. There are other ways if you want to add like a live meter or in using some automated way to have live data in there is also possible. We have developed multiple ways to do this. In this case, please contact us and we will guide you through the whole process. So let's go for the first one, which is the CSV. So the first step is to check, to ask you if you want to upload data for yourself, just yourself, or if you want to add, for example, a colleague of yours that wants to see the data as well. So if you want to add a new person like a colleague, you can choose yes. Otherwise, you can just choose no and use your own username, just your own email. The second step is the first level on the tree menu. So we have built the tree menu as an organization, a building, and then the meters within that building. So the first step will be the organization. And then here you can create a new one or upload to an existing one. If you want to visualize all the KPIs, you will need to upload, for example, the main energy consumption of the building, and then perhaps HDD or temperature, particles per square meter. So there are multiple time series that you might want to upload. And then the more you upload, the more insight to get from the dashboard, of course. So the first step is the organization, the top level. The second level is the site, and then you can put here the name, the address of that site, and then there are multiple metadata that we define. A few of them are mandatory, such as building type, building height, construction year, and the total net building area. But there are a lot of them which are optional, but if you fill them up, you get more insights from the KPIs as well. Some of them they are required for the KPIs. You can of course change or add later if you need. So this is the second level in hierarchy, and all the relevant data related to the building itself is input here. And then the third level will be the meter. It can be a main meter, it can be some meter of the main room, meter of the main area of the building. And in this third level, you can add electrical meters, gas meter, water meters, or what we call numeric meters. Numeric meters can be everything else, such as HDD, CDD, temperature, relative humidity, and everything else. And then you will need to tag the main time series that you upload there. It's important to tag them so the system understands that that time series is the main one for the building. Just to give you an idea of a list of things, you can be heating production of all generators, HDD, CDD, total consumption of the building, total consumption for lighting, and electrical consumption for heat pump, concentration of CO2 in the air, so on and so forth. Once you have access to the platform, you'll be able to see the list that we have prepared that will give you the insights for the KPIs. Then once you have configured the meter, you can choose either a CSV or a green button. A green button is standard, usually used in the US and Canada, but we've seen a little bit of this in Europe as well. But the main one is the CSV, which is the most flexible one. Then you can choose a file, and then you can configure the system to interpret that file correctly. So first option is if the CSV has headers, like where the first line is a description of what each column means, and then you can choose a delimiter. Usually the parser tries to be smart and understand what's the delimiter, if it's a comma, semicolon, and so on. You can skip some lines if you have, like, sometimes there is a header, like some extra information you want to skip, it's not real data. Then you can choose the decimal separator, which can be comma or dot, 1000 separators if the numbers have that. And then you move to the date and time. You can be in one column or two columns. And then you choose the format of the date and time. We have pre-selected the most common ones. There's an extensive list there, and then you can choose from them. And then the last step will be to choose which column means what. So if you have, for example, the first column will be, let's say you chose an existing meter, then you can choose, for example, the date and time is in the first column, and then the consumption for the building is in the second column. That will be the time series. Or if let's say the third column is the consumption, you can choose like there the third column, and then you can click to submit the files. Once the data is processed, the system will present you with the option to either move to the data that you just uploaded, or you keep uploading. If you have multiple time series to upload, you can just keep on uploading and adding them, and then in the end you can go and visualize them as you need. If you choose to visualize the data that you just uploaded, you will be sent to the dashboard, where to the breakdown of the dashboard, and then you will see that on the left the structure that you have created. For example, in my demo here, we have the KPIs demo, building 1. And then we have a bunch of time series there, which are appliance consumption, CDD, CO2 concentration, CO2 in the air, cooling production, external temperature, so on and so forth. And then on the middle, you're going to see the time series that you uploaded. And on the right panel, on the right side, you can see the control panel, where you can choose the granularity that you want to visualize the data, if it's multi-year, if it's year, monthly, weekly, daily, which year, which month you can compare to with another period of time within the time series. So the idea here is to get some basic insights, check the data that you uploaded, see if it's correct there, and you can compare different time series, get some insights. That's the basic idea here. So if you go on the top rightmost part is the KPIs that we define here for the ExcEED project. Then you can select on the left-hand side the building that you want, that you uploaded data. And then on the right-hand side, you can choose here the KPIs. For example, in this example, we have selected the energy signature, which shows you a linear regression of the data. And then you can also, of course, navigate so you can navigate through the time series within the month, the year, and understand better with different times there. So this is the basic idea of what we have been developing of all the research together with Iraq and the partners, to have the time series there, and then you can get insights from those time series. So I think I'll pass now to Daniele, which will show the geoclustering tool, which allows you to check the data comparing your data with other buildings.
Okay, so good morning to all. Yeah, so I can go, sorry. My name is Daniele, and I'm going to show you the building KPIs and the GeoCluster tool. So just to wrapping up what my colleague said so far, I hope that, okay. So which are the main components that characterize the ExcEED platform? So as Thiago said, and also Roberto said, we have a database that which is possible to collect data from building monitoring systems. And after we have a dashboard that Thiago explained in the previous presentation about how it is possible to visualize building performances through suitable key performance indicators. And after in parallel, we develop other tool. One tool is the Jocasta tool. This tool is able to classify, cluster, and benchmark your buildings with all the buildings available in our DB. And also there is another tool that is related to identify the feedback from the building user about the indoor environmental quality. The aims of this ExcEED project is to provide knowledge and useful information to support decision maker to improve building operation. So the first work that we did during this project was to identify which are the best KPIs that can characterize the buildings. So we start our work searching on different available sources that can be the literature review of other projects or feedback from energy manager, feedback from expertise in building energy efficient buildings. And at the end, we identify more or less 40 KPIs, both on energy and indoor environmental quality. These KPIs are available in the Zenodo repository, but also we develop inside of this project another, together also with another project, a database for KPIs for buildings. So if you go on the link that you can see in this slide, you can get information about which are the suitable KPIs for your work. You can leave a feedback, and also you can put inside your indicator. So please, if you use KPIs on buildings, give a look on this website. For the project, after this first evaluation, we skimmed the 40 KPIs to 26, and these are the KPIs available in the dashboard. As Tiago shown in previous on the ExcEED platform. So the home page is divided in three main parts. So on the top left, you can see the buttons or tabs that are useful to upload data. On the middle, you have some widgets that you can add on this platform. But on the top right, there are several buttons that help you to perform analysis on your data. One of these buttons that Tiago also showed before is related to the KPIs. So when you select this KPIs button, what you have is this page in which on the right we have a monitoring points related to your building. So in this case, for example, you can see the buildings, the data that I have uploaded for my organization as a test. On the right, there is a control panel in which there is a drop-down menu that there is a list of KPIs, and also the possibility to visualize these KPIs on different granularity. And on the middle, there is the visualization of KPI using different type of graph. And this visualization depends on the KPIs that you want to see. This is the part related to the KPI visualization. And after, I will show you the part related to the Jocasta tool. So the Jocasta web-based tool is able to easily select cluster and display Jocasta Jocasta information, highlighting common spatial pattern and region per group of KPIs. And now, and after we show in the next slide in which way. But when we start to define this project, we said, okay, but the Jocasta tool is useful for what? So we think that Jocasta data are extremely important to highlight transnational similarity and provide useful information to policymakers and legislative bodies. And also, together with this tool, the part related to the benchmarking is very important, because when you have your building and you want to understand if it works well, the only way to do this is to compare your building with other similar buildings. So generally, the benchmark can be an answer to the fundamental question, that is how the system and building perform. So going through the platform, so if you want to use the, sorry, if you want to, okay, use the Jocasta tool. So in the platform, there is a tab called Tools, If you click on this tab, you can select or the Jocasta tool or the EEQ survey. If you select the Jocasta tool, this is the home page. The home page is divided mainly in two parts. On the left, you have a panel in which there are three type of analysis that you can perform. One is the classification, the clustering, and the benchmarking. And on the right, you have a map of all buildings available in the database. So here you can see your buildings with a specific layer and also the specific label. But for the other buildings, due to the fact that we have in line with the GDPR, you can see only the buildings as a macro regions. And also, this is also related to the data. You can see only aggregate data and not the specific data for all the buildings that are in the database. So, okay, for the classification is a tool that helps you to filter the buildings according to the metadata. So when you upload your buildings, as Thiago shown before, you have to define your metadata. And so this metadata can be used in this tool to filter all the buildings that are inside of the database. So for example, if you select on the general data, the building type, that could be the residential or office buildings, and after you want to know if, for example, there is for this type of residential buildings that have a generator system like a heat pump and also as an emission system like flow radiator. You can select all these fields, and after you click you apply these filters. You apply, and so at the end you have this type of these results. So at the beginning you have all the buildings inside, but now we have only the buildings that have the similar feature. The clustering, so I think that is one of the most important results of our project. So yeah, just to say about a few words about what is the clustering. The clustering is a process that helps you to divide a set of data in a set of meaningful subclasses called the cluster. So each cluster is an object that is a list of objects that have a similar feature and can be treated as one group. And the GeoCluster tool means that each buildings with a similar feature, similar values, can be connected together in a group and visualized in the map. How it is possible to do? So in the dashboard, so you go on the clustering tab, you have to define some inputs that in this case are the building type, so you can perform the cluster on all the buildings that are inside of the database, but also on specific building type. And after you select the key performance indicators, and for this first release, the evaluation has been done for years and months together. So you have to select the years and the months. In the next release, we will work only on the yearly values. After you click on Compute Cluster, this is an example of results that you can achieve. So you have a map in which you can see all the cluster defined by our algorithm. Just to say a few words about how we reach these results. So on the background, we used a specific algorithm called the k-means, and we modify this algorithm using only one parameter, that is the value of the KPI. So so going back to the map, so you can see there are several. So in this case, there are more or less four clusters, and each cluster represents also a range of value for your selected KPIs. And so you can understand on the map where your buildings, in which cluster your buildings is, and so you can understand if you can improve your building. Just give a look on the other cluster that probably are close to your region. On the last tool is the benchmarking. So the benchmarking is very important, and it's possible, as I said before, because you can compare your buildings with other buildings. And we define two ways to compare all the buildings that are inside of the database. The first one if you want to know the performance of the overall buildings with the same intended use, or if you want to compare your buildings both on energy and EEQ performance together with other building with the same function, or if you want to compare your building with another your building that you are managing, or if you want to compare two different periods for the same buildings. I want to underline that all these analyses will be performed using the indicators that we defined. So, okay, this is the benchmarking tool. So you have to select the benchmarking. In this case, you also have to decide if you want to perform an analysis for the energy point of view or for the indoor environmental quality. So, for example, if you select the energy, in this case, on the right, you can see there is another list of inputs that are required. So, first of all, you can select, for example, if you want to perform an analysis for the overall buildings or for your buildings. In the case you decide overall buildings, you have to define the key performance indicators, and after the intended use of the buildings and the year. The possible results that you can have is this one. In this case, for example, we select the key performance indicator related to the heating consumption per square meters and heating every day. So the results that you have, that is this pie chart, show the distribution in percentage of the energy consumption of all buildings at the same intended use for the selected year on monthly level. There are other type of analysis that you can perform. These are some examples. For example, you can see, as I said before, the comparison of your building with other buildings. In this case, using energy indicators, or you can compare your buildings in two different periods. In this case, the time set is the year on the yearly level, and after you can compare also your building with another building that you are using or you are managing. Regarding the part related to the indoor environmental quality, I put here only the graph related to the temperature profile. So it's possible generally to perform an analysis for three main KPIs: temperature, humidity, and CO2. For the temperature profile, we integrated the categories defined by the standard EN 15251. So as you can see in this bullet chart, in which there is the visualization of the indoor monthly temperature with the categories recommended temperature range defined by the standard for different type of buildings. So yeah, I want just to underline this part. So we have a tool, we develop the database. So if you want to improve your building performance, reduce the CO2 emission, and in particular you want to save your money, so join ExcEED, and it's free till the end of the project. So thank you.
So next presentation is for Mihai.
Hello. Okay, so I am Mihai and I work for Hoval, and I'll present the study case which ExcEED has used in the past years. And I'll also show a bit of the technology which we use to measure all the data. So a bit of the small 10-minute talk will be, okay, first I'll present the company, Hoval. I'll present the office here in Italy. I'll present a small list of the components we have in this office building, the objectives we have with ExcEED. what we measured in a near zero emission building, and finally a bit how to make data available for third-party platforms. So first of all, we are a company that operates in most of Europe. We also opened an office in China, and in total, I'd say we are around 2,000 employees. In Italy specifically, we're 50 people, and we are in an office here in the north of Italy. Product-wise, we offer a lot of things. We offer an integrated system for everything from solar power, heat pumps, and biomass to ventilation and also heat recovery. Everything we have our own control systems, but in different buildings we obviously work with other systems. Some references of buildings are these, and we work with quite big buildings. For example, cathedrals like Vatican and Milan, hotels like Burj Khalifa, and also various other buildings in China and England and across Europe. Now, for the specific case of ExcEED, we decided to look and install sensors for our office in Italy. Our office is called Casa Oval. It has its own website also. It was built 5 years ago. And as I said before, it hosts around 50 employees. We are, being a new building, we have various certifications which mention that we save 65% of energy compared to traditional buildings. And also we save around 50% of CO2 due to our own heating, which we calculated very carefully. For this building, our objectives were to gather data and learn a bit about environmental data also. So not only to learn about our own systems and how much data we have to collect, but also environmental data which our office workers are living in. And then to measure KPIs and compare them to similar buildings, and also to show results, see data trends from the past years. Before ExcEED, we had an offline plant with Siemens control system. Right now, we also added our own system, and we added live sensors for temperature, humidity, and CO2. We added sensors for presence and luminosity to check whether the office is empty or not, or how much light gets into the rooms. We also added the heat meters or energy meters, and obviously with the platform you can see everything live, so it's a very good way to see all this data. Some other things we measure is basically the whole system. We have various systems. So for the heating and cooling themselves, we have different fan coils, we have radiators, and for example, 7 ventilation units on the top of the building. For heating itself, we also have a gas boiler, we have solar panels, and a biomass boiler also in case of extra demand. This was the existing system. For example, this is to our products. Most of our data was sent. In general, the important part was to see temperatures and how much individual components consume, and to get the grand total of this consumption of a, let's say, near zero emission building. The structure here was quite complex, but in general, I would suggest that most people that upload their data to look at simpler cases, to look at temperatures, for example, and to try to simplify the schematic of their building as much as possible. Then, together with ExcEED, we installed various other sensors. So, for example, this top one here is for light and for presence. Then this is for CO2, humidity, and temperature. This one was quite great in our office because a lot of people are now asking about air quality. And finally, we installed also the energy meters to see how much we've been consuming. This is like, for example, our positioning. This is a scheme of our building. For example, this is my office here, and you can see it's a big office with quite a few desks. But we managed to install 2 sensors here to gather the data. And there's various other offices where we collect CO2 temperatures and humidity. This is the upstairs, for example, also a few offices which we check. Each has either 1, 2, or 3 people inside. A bit about sending data. So our experience here was very interesting. First, we had data coming from our Siemens control systems. So that was uploading a file using a CSV, just like we described previously in the presentation. Another case which I had, which was quite interesting, is connecting these new sensors using technologies like NOcean, MBus, and Modbus, connecting them to a small computer, sending the data through a very famous communication protocol called OPC UA, and then finally sending the data live to ExcEED. So these were the 2 main types of data transmission we used, sending data directly as a table and sending data live through the API of ExcEED. Finally, to close, I'll give an example of something that's been a huge discussion in our office, air quality, of course. It was quite great to see how at different times these values spike. How my office, for example, has more people, so you can see a quite dramatic difference. And this was a talking point for the past months with all the people I work with, all my colleagues, about the importance of air quality, and of course also other data to see when we're using too much heating, for example. The temperature was also a very interesting discussion. So yeah, thank you very much for your attention. I left here also my email in case anyone needs any information about our building here or how we connected it. And I wish you luck. Thank you.
So thank you very much. Thank you, Tiago, Daniele, and Mihai. We had some questions, but before maybe a couple of words yeah, on the process in which we are. I mean, ExcEED platform is a platform needing data. Of course, I mean, both benchmarking and clustering tools, I mean, work properly if we have a lot of buildings, let me say, a lot of data. And in this way, we can provide, let me say, useful benchmarks as well as useful aggregation of data in GeoClusters as presented by Daniele. So we launched the platform today. I guess there will be some technical issues for sure in the next days. There are some people ready to solve as soon as possible. You know, there are both technical issues as well as issues related to the data privacy and stuff like that, because we are dealing with the data of buildings owned by people, and then and then also with the indoor environmental quality data. That's also quite sensible data. So when you register for the platform, there is also a sort of consensus allowing us to manage in an anonymous way the data themselves. So I would remember that you can go on the ExcEED website. www.exceedproject.eu, and then you can ask for your password and username to use the platform, to let me say in a way, to play with the platform, and hopefully to upload a lot of data from your side. I would like to underline that there is not only the part related to the monitored data, but there is also the survey in order to collect information about the perception of the users with regard the indoor environmental quality. That is also something that you can use as I said, facility manager or designer in order to improve the energy efficiency of the building in the operational phase, as well as of the building under design stage. Yeah, with regard to the question, maybe a technical one for Daniele. I mean, the question is if it is possible to add specific key performance indicator, let me say standard one, but not the ExcEED ones, or personal one, and if it is possible to define specific KPIs, and yeah, how does it work?
So, okay, regarding this question, so the answer is you can do this for your building. So when you upload your data on the dashboard, so for your data, you can just have the possibility to visualize the KPIs that we define, but also there is a possibility to do some very simple analysis or simple operation. So in this case, you can define your indicators. On the contrary, if you go through the Jocasta tool, as I said also in my presentation, you can work only with the indicators that we defined. So it's not possible to create a personal indicators.
Yeah, thank you, Daniele. Moving from technical to more, let me say, legal issue. The question is, I mean, I try again with Daniele, and then maybe Thiago can add something. If a user add his or her data he or she collected with the monitoring system, is it possible to keep this data as, let me say, private, and not to, let's say, being available by all?
So try to answer to this question. So when you start to upload data from your building, so the visualization of this data is only for you, so no one can see your data. But for the Jocasta tool, in which we catch this data to calculate the means or to calculate the overall behavior of all buildings, we only take this data in anonymous way and in aggregate way. So we don't see the data as it is, but only all together. So an example, if there are 10 buildings that are office buildings, so we can collect data from all these buildings, and after we calculate like an average of these 10 buildings. So in this case, you don't share your rough data, but probably you help to calculate a possible value for the benchmark. And also regarding when you also put the metadata inside, in which you have to define the address in which your building is. So this building is not shown in the map in this particular street, but you can see only, as I said before, a macro region. So if you try to zoom on the map after this zoom stop, and you can see only a huge area and not the real position of the building. And there's also another thing, when you start to upload your data, there is also the GDPR condition in the dashboard that you have to select, and after this you can also share your data to the other people.
Yeah, thank you, Daniele. I don't know, Thiago, if you want to add something.
No, I think that's basically the idea. So the data will be available just for the person that uploaded it, and then only as aggregated data will be shown in the Jocasta tool. The personal KPIs will be shown just for yourself, so you can see the data that you uploaded together with the metadata. And of course, there will be the GDPR terms and conditions that you have to accept or not in the beginning, according to share the data.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, maybe I can say also a couple of words on the, I mean, the question is, will you maintain the platform also, let me say, over the ExcEED project time frame? Yeah, the answer is we will try to do that. The project will end in September this year, and as URAC, I mean, we already decided to keep the platform alive at least up to the end of 2020, and then of course it depends on the successful on the market, let me say, of the platform itself. And so if the platform will become really something useful for, let me say, both organizations, universities, companies involved in European projects, so for very advanced buildings as for the first goal at the beginning, but also for facility managers in general and policymakers and designers, these three categories of target users. Of course, I mean, we are trying to find a way to keep the platform alive. Of course, there will be some, let me say, expenditures and efforts to be put for the maintenance of the platform itself. We are trying to find the best business model in order to keep alive the platform. Of course, if there will be in the future a fee, is just for the maintenance of the platform. I mean, we don't want to do a business I mean, to gain money with the platform, but just to maintain the platform as a service for the three target users, as was the aim of the European Commission when they launched the call at the beginning. So I also answer another question on the possibility to use the platform for commercial purpose. Of course, I mean, you can use the platform as you want. So if you think that is, let's say, useful for the management of your building stock, I mean, you can use as it is, and you can also personalize, as Daniele explained. You can define your own KPIs. I mean, for your user, it is not possible to use your KPIs for benchmarking and so on and so forth, because for that purpose, you have to use the KPIs we defined in the project. Our aim is to, let's say, to have a live and very active platform also in the next years. So maybe it could be possible also to have further developments if the platform users will request specific KPIs not included at the moment in the list we defined. Yeah. Yeah, another question. I mean, there is a distinction I already explained from the use of the platform for a single building or for the management of a building stock. I try to answer, and then I will let the floor to Daniele and Tiago just to complete my answer. Of course, I mean, you can use the platform for elaborating data coming from your specific building. So from one building, if you are the owner or the facility manager of a specific building, of course, I mean, you are using only a small part of the whole platform, because I mean, it is not maybe so useful to clusterize or to compare with the benchmark and so on and so forth. So it can be used in that way, but I mean, the full use of the platform is in terms of comparison of building stock performances. Daniele, I don't know if you want to say some words about the possible use of the platform, and then Tiago.
Yeah, as Robert said, the platform is very useful if you just upload data from several buildings. You can do also for only one building. In this case, the performance is related only to this building, and after there are some part of the tool that can be used. So, for example, the benchmarking of your building to another building. So in this case, not possible, but you can compare your buildings with other similar with the same intended use. But the best thing is if you upload data from a huge quantity of buildings. In this case, probably the tools works better. Yeah, sorry. So Tiago, I don't know if you want to add something about.
Yeah, I think that's the idea. The more data you upload to the platform, the better, because you get more insights, more KPIs, then you get more from the geoclustering tool as well, of course.
Okay. I don't have any other question. I don't know if there are any coming from the audience. No. So, I mean, let me say thank you very much to the build-up team and for the organization and for the, let me say, possibility to present the platform. Also, I mean, I would like to acknowledge the European Commission financing ExcEED project. I do hope there will be a lot of users interested in the platform, and so we will have a lot of data in the next let me say days and weeks. Last, thanks to, of course, to the ExcEED consortium, to the partners. Today you listened to Tiago from Batix and Mihai from Hobal. But I would like to say a very big thank you also to 3E and BPIE, just to cover the whole consortium. So that's it. Thank you very much for your attention. And if you have any question, you can directly contact one of the partner or Jurek as a project coordinator. Thank you very much to all.